That's great. Okay, so we're recording now. And wanted to say thanks for coming along. We have got Laurie McPherson who's with us from the Grow Consultancy. And also we've got Eileen Gerstenberger, who is from one of our SRGs. So what we thought we'd do today is have a little chat. We want to make it informal, find out what you're interested in to talk about, and then maybe have a little bit of a discussion about what you're looking to do to change within your life, and maybe if there's some way that we can help you. So that's the kind of very loose agenda this afternoon. So first of all, I'm going to put, I'm having Laurie, would you mind introducing yourself just briefly? And then Eileen, if you could do that afterwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, Laurie, if it's okay, put your email address in the chat and myself.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah, okay. So I'll do that. Laurie, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hi folks, lovely to be with you this afternoon. I'm Laurie from the Grow Consultancy, and I also run a side arm, if you like, called Your Fairy Job Mother. Prior to COVID, I was all about training and facilitation, and I met Pam through our many networking events, meeting great women in business. But since lockdown, I've focused much more on getting people back to work, because I realised straight away that's what they needed right now, rather than worrying about any other team stuff that can, to be honest, come later. So I've really been focusing a lot on helping people back to work and seeing the kind of themes around job loss, redundancy and career change that we can talk about a little bit later.
And Eileen, you want to just introduce yourself and tell us about how you're involved with the SRGs and Weevolution briefly?
Problem. Hello, my name is Eileen. I'm part of Beloved SRG. We do weighted blankets and wraps, which I'll probably explain at a later stage. And I got to meet everyone. I think it's been over a year now. I've been part of Revolution. Obviously, I'm going to go into more detail later on. I don't want to say too much just now. Yeah, that's it for now.
Excellent. And one of the things I talked to Laurie and Eileen about was for this session is to try to make it quite interactive. So I hope you don't mind if you can maybe speak a little bit during the session if you're feeling brave. And because what we want to do is, I think it's much more useful if we're able to all talk and find out what it is that you're looking to find out. So I wondered whether you might be able to share what attracted you to today's cafe, and then what I'd like to do is just have Laurie talk a little bit about some of the themes that she's seeing come up in COVID times where we're at the minute. So I don't know, maybe Sarah, would you mind sharing what attracted you to the cafe today?
Sure. So my employer is currently going through the process of redundancies, so I'm not really sure if I'm coming or going or what's going to end up happening. But prior to that, I'd sort of been considering a career change, and now it's getting a bit scary that it might actually happen, and it's all just become a bit too real. So trying to figure it all out, what I want to do and what's best to do.
Excellent. And we're going to talk a little bit more about things like what's happening in your situation and now, and what are the barriers. So Laurie, I'm sure will be able to give you some good advice about that. So thanks for sharing that.
Okay.
Anna, what about you? What brought you today to the session?
Me?
Yeah.
So sorry, I just learning yet the Zoom. So yeah, mostly is that I am currently in retail sector, so I have been in Glasgow for almost 5 years. It's not my dream job, so I used to have my own business back in Athens. So I'm looking forward to see if there is a way to make, I'm very crafty in every way. So if I can do something here, it will be nice. Cut off hours from the retail and make something of my own. But I haven't figured out yet how I could do that. So pretty much that's it.
Thank you, Anna. Cara, welcome. We can see you now.
Yeah,
So,
sorry, I wasn't expecting this to be face to face, so I've just had a quick transformation.
sorry about that. We maybe should have said that at the beginning. So, we'll give you a chance to sort of sink in. What we're doing, I don't know whether you heard or not, is we're just
Yeah,
basically.
sorry, I've been able to hear everything fine. I've just been on mute and not with the video, so I'm all caught up.
Great. Okay. Well, since we've got you on now, why don't you share with us what brought you along to the cafe today?
So I think similar to was it Anna a minute ago. So I was made redundant 4 years ago from a role in fundraising. Since then, I've had a number of kind of shorter term things. So I've done a lot of kind of self-development and thinking about where I'm going and what I want to do. Finally felt like I've kind of fitted into my new role, which I got a year ago. And then it turns out that I'm kind of at risk of redundancy again. So I feel like I've kind of gone back to square one, starting again. So yeah, just also trying to kind of find another new direction to go in.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Do you want to go ahead and let us know what your situation is and what attracted you today?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I've been looking to find a new career or a different career field for quite some time, actually for years now, and I've been always like looking side field, but never really did the jump. And now I'm actually just started maternity leave. So I thought this is like a nice break from being outside of the office and really stepping back and resetting myself. But I just want to really use this opportunity or this forum to brainstorm how can I use my maternity leave really effectively and best way to go into the direction I want to be. So if I return to work, possibly there's going to be new opportunities for me to do a role that I enjoy more, or even so just going through the thoughts of how to best manage my maternity leave and return to work.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully hear more about that in a little bit. Thank you for sharing that. Taruka, why don't you tell us about yourself and what you're up to at the minute?
Hello, I'm Taruka. I'm one of the SRG members from PAM's in the client group. So PAM is keeping me always up to date and on my feet with many lovely ideas. At the moment, I just started, when I became a member, I just wanted to do some sari. I wanted to do some cushion covers with my lots of saris that I have. But unfortunately, COVID came and all the fabric shops and the charity shops were closed. So I couldn't get any material for that. So then whilst the COVID was going on, I came at this idea of starting a travel thing in Sri Lanka. So Pam and Rosie helped me with that project. So it's called Pearl of Asia. So we are just in the initial stages of starting it. Yesterday, Rosie gave ideas starting it from Instagram. So all of them are helping me with getting things done. At the moment, I'm just in square one, but I'm getting there.
Brilliant, you certainly are, Taruka, and it was lovely to see you a few days ago. So, and hopefully we'll get to see you again soon. Felicity, would you mind sharing what brought you today to the event? Is she gone?
Oh, she's gone.
She's gone. Oh dear, I scared her off. And Debs, what about you? What's happening with you?
Hello, I'm Debs and I'm in an SRG called Outside the Box, but I'm merely here just to kind of observe because I'm doing community development at university and my placement's with Wevolution. So I'm just spying on you today. That's
I'm sure you'll be a great contributor to the discussion as well. So Laurie, thanks everybody for sharing. I know maybe it's a little bit tricky, especially if you don't know people. But thank you for coming and telling us what you're up to. I wonder whether, Laurie, you might be able to pick up on some of those themes that people are talking about. You know, certainly there was a couple of people talking about, you know, redundancies. Certainly was the change about, you know, new in the career. And have you been seeing that come through with the people that you've been working with?
Yeah, so absolutely. I'm hearing obviously lots more and more either people who are at risk of redundancy or who are redundant at the moment, and all of the feels that that throws up, which Sarah and Cara both kind of alluded to. You know, feeling like you are redundant, feeling like, what am I going to do next? Especially if it's happened again. Oh, so no problem, Cara. It happened to me last week. Hermes interrupted a webinar for me too. Feeling like you're redundant, feeling like, oh my goodness, you know, this is the worst time in the world to be made redundant. And if you look at the news, you know, you would be right in thinking, I am never going to get another job ever again, and just going into full-on panic mode. But I'm kind of here to tell you that's not the case. For those of you who are thinking about career changes, Anna, let me tell you, as a retail manager for many years, retail is no one's dream job. It's a job that people fall into and stay in. It has its perks and it has great benefits, but yeah, I did retail for a long time, and your staff generally don't really want to be there, is the God's honest truth. So you have that to kind of work with all the time as well. So a few of the themes that I've really been seeing are around sort of the fear, the confusion, the panic, sometimes the betrayal and the anger at the employer and at the situation. And, you know, for someone like Cara, I've just got myself back on my feet, and here comes yet another, you know, knock, another blow. And how many times can we keep getting back up? And for some people, it can really, really be a huge knock to the confidence. So the stuff around redundancy is often around people not really feeling like they have much of a clue what to do next, that they don't have a purpose if they're not working, that they don't have value if they're not working. Identity is very closely tied up. The first thing you ask someone, isn't it, and you meet them, is, what do you do? How do we answer that ox question if we don't really do anything? There's a little bit of shame can be involved in there as well. If I've been made redundant, am I redundant? Could I have done something different? Again, I'm here to tell you that, you know, COVID was a total blast from the side for everyone, and it just wasn't something that was expected. So businesses are struggling. You know, I speak to a lot of HR managers. The managers don't want to make the redundancies. They're not happy at having to make their trusted staff redundant. They just simply don't have a choice because the order books are not looking good. People are not doing things that they were doing. And after 14 weeks of being off, some businesses are really struggling. For some, they're using it as a chance to do a little bit of reshaping as well, because they've realised that what we needed before we don't need now, and what we need now is different to what we needed before. So what I would say, and I'm absolutely not going to sit here and say redundancy can be the best thing that's ever happened, because you would be well within your rights to want to punch your screen, but there is an opportunity, and there is a big, what does this make possible? You know, what can we do differently? What can we think about differently? You're in a process which is a grief and a change process, essentially. You will go through good days and bad days. I call it the roller coaster. You know, you're riding up and down, and some days you'll feel good, and then you hear a story, or someone will tell you there's no jobs, right? So if you think there's no jobs, go onto Indeed right now and tell me if it's empty, if there's a big no jobs sign on the front of it. No, there's not. Of course there's not. There are jobs. They might be different jobs. You might have to think a bit differently. You might have to sell your skills a little bit differently. But things are going to change, and we don't even know what those changes are yet, is what I would say. So at the moment you might be thinking, right, that's hospitality wiped out right now, but it's coming back. Travel, oh my goodness, I can't possibly do anything there. It's coming back. These things are going to come back. Some sectors are going to do really, really well out of this. So it's potentially just a case of thinking, what else can I do? And recognising our own strengths and skills is really, really difficult. So I think that the first thing is around redundancy. Where you're at is absolutely normal, fine, to be expected, and you will get on to the next stage. There are some things that you can do to help with that. You can take some action steps. You can, you know, commit to thinking first about what you want to do next. You can commit to looking at your absolute worst case scenario. Horrible, scary place to be, so don't stay there, but just go there quickly. How many months cash have I got? Right, okay, that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. We'll look at plan B down the line. Just even knowing, having the knowledge is just sometimes enough to put your mind at rest. There's tons of things that you can do. There are sort of 6 things I recommend people do if they are kind of stuck in that place, which are around, you know, getting your LinkedIn profile sorted, getting a CV together, having some thought about what you want to do, but not while you're in panic mode. So if you're still panicking, you know, if you're panicking, don't start applying for other jobs. I had it on my LinkedIn the other day. When it happened to me years ago, I hated my job, I hated my boss, and I was working in retail, and I thought, I'll go and get, well, there's a job at Black's, the camping store. I hate camping. I have never camped. I do not possess a tent. I do not wear a waterproof trouser. I don't have a walking boot. You know, I was a bit of a dolly bird at the time. Why on earth was I going to go and work in Black's the camping store? 1, they wouldn't take me, and 2, what use could I be to their customer? But me in panic mode, when we're in panic, we don't make great decisions. We make rubbish decisions because we're like, ah. So it's a case of stop. Keep telling yourself, I am not going to be unemployed forever. It's statistically highly unlikely. You know, I am going to find or create another job. And that's the other thing. You don't have to take a job. You can take a job for a wee while, and you can think about longer term. You might have a short-term goal. If you come to me today and say, Sarah, right, I'm absolutely desperate to be an events planner, I'm going to have to say to you, Sarah, I'm going to have to stop you right there. But in 6 months' time, when all those weddings, holidays, celebrations that folk couldn't have this year need to go ahead, you can absolutely be an events planner, but what can you do right now? Do you need to bring some cash into your life? That's fine. Go and do something different, and in 6 months' time, but in the meantime, like you say, Cara, be making those steps to get to the next thing. So it's about kind of the next logical step, taking a step back, coming out of panic. If you're not going to be under imminent threat of anything awful happening to you, if you don't get a job tomorrow, you don't need to take any job right now. You know, you've got have a bit of breathing space and have a wee look at what is around you. And there's lots more sort of hints and tips I can give, but I'm going to just quickly skip on to a few others. So people like Anna, who are looking at how they can step into the world of running their own business, and Taruko, who has just started. I'll just quickly, in fact, might this be a good point just to ask Ali and Felicity in case this is relevant to them too? Yeah, is that okay? So Ali, can you just tell us what you're kind of hoping to get out of this, where you're at?
Well, I wasn't really sure what we were going to cover here, but my situation is that I'm currently furloughed, but I already been told that that I will be made redundant at the end of July. Now, I currently work for the RSPCA, and to me that was like a dream job. So it was a heavy blow, but I had a few months to come to terms with it, because I've been home for 3 months now, being furloughed. So I knew there was a possibility that I'd be made redundant, and right now I'm at the stage of just looking ahead. I go a plan B. I already started sending applications. My plan B was to try and get into the funeral industry. Now, right now there are no jobs in it, so I'm looking for something else, like in admin or reception, because that is my background. That's what I've been doing so far. But I still have that goal that maybe in the future I'd like to get into the funeral industry and help people to organize their funerals. And it's really good to have a plan, you know, a plan for the future, even if it's not going to happen right now. So
absolutely, yeah. Absolutely great. No, thanks for that. And Felicity, what about yourself?
I had to give up work due to an illness. I used to work for myself and can no longer hold my equipment. So I've just finished college, having been retraining in textiles and weaving. So I'm looking at possibly using some of that again into working for myself again.
Brilliant. So for people like Anna and Felicity, for yourself, and Turuko, who just started a business, you know, such a great support out there from Weevolution around how to take all those steps. And it is, you know, maybe sometimes a good thing to do is to, if you can, Anna, just for now keep a job as well, and you know, just have it as your side hustle, like lots of folk do right now, while you build a crafty business, because it can take a little while just to generate enough income. And if you can do it, if you can cope with the hours and the pressure of doing both, you know, I did it for sort of 6 months before I started on my own. It was a really good way of getting yourself out there, getting your website ready while you're still bringing in some money. For Turuko, I know you've just started, and Felicity, it's just looking at all the different options around, you know, getting things online, how you promote yourself. Most of it is about marketing, getting your story told, isn't it, Pam? And just getting it out there. That I think you've again got an amazing opportunity right now, because people want to buy from small local businesses. There's been that shift, and I'm definitely hearing that. You know, who are the good guys throughout COVID? So I can think off the top of my head, Manor View Group, who immediately shut their hotels and put NHS staff in them. Brilliant. They're a good guy. I want to use them. You know, who's a good guy? Thompson flew into lockdown, brought British people back who were stuck. Brilliant. Let's use them. Who's people not going to use? You know, these are not small businesses, but they're businesses with good, you know, good credibility right now. Who do people not want to work with? Weatherspoons, you know, hello, Sports Direct. Who do people not want to buy from? So there's been a shift. There's been lots of local shops, small. If you can get a little bit of momentum going behind that around crafts and craft community, I think there's a huge opportunity there right now. People want to be conscious consumers. After they've seen what's been happening, it's something I've heard so much and seen so much. And lockdown has separated haves and have-nots, unfortunately. And half the people are buying from lovely local businesses, and look what I got delivered today and all that stuff. And half the people are going, I'm going to lose my job at the end of this. So, and it's hard not to be upset and annoyed and triggered, but I think it's looking at, hang on a minute, all these people buying from small businesses, that could be me. You know, that business could be mine. It's what does this make possible? It's the opportunities it's bringing, I think, just very generally as a kind of theme. And for yourself, can I just ask you, what sort of work were you doing before you went on maternity? I wasn't quite sure on that. I know you said it wasn't fulfilling your soul, but what kind of work were you doing? I don't know, it's maybe frozen. Can you hear me? Yeah, can you tell me what sort of work were you doing before lockdown?
So I was working from home. I work in the financial services. So I've been working in the same company since I actually left uni. And the lockdown for me was literally just transferring the work from office to home. So I wasn't immediately impacted by any furlough scheme or as such. But I think generally the financial services will contract and they will make people more redundant. But yeah, so I just really want to see, and it's work that pays the bills, but it's nothing I really enjoy at all. So yeah.
So what would you really like, even if your job could have a little bit more of this, what would you really like to be doing 9 to 5?
Yeah, I was thinking about that quite a lot, and I've been talking to so many people and exploring different programs and how to shift careers and explore different things. I think if it comes top of mind, I like to work more in this third sector, social enterprise, social responsibility. I like to explore that without having real practical experience in that, but that's something that I would feel immediately drawn to.
Cool. So for someone like yourself then, financial services is safe in terms of the whole industry. I'm not saying your job necessarily, but financial services isn't going anywhere as an industry. It's maybe whether or not, like you say, it pays the bills. So do you do it for a little bit longer while it's giving you some stability, whilst maybe doing something like volunteering, like going onto the board of a charity to get those skills up so that you can then say you've got both? And could you look at financials for a charity or a third sector organisation? they tend to be terribly bad at this kind of thing, if I may be so bold as to say that, and really need some help with, you know, that type of thing. So could you bridge that gap? So you've got this great, I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, literally. In your case of financial services is dead safe. You know, it's as I say, not necessarily your job and your company, but there's going to be jobs in finance forever, in some form or other. So there's a couple of things that immediately spring to mind. One is, could you do something self-employed around financial services, which would be super flexible around your family, like become a mortgage specialist or a mortgage protection specialist. There's companies and ways of doing that who would absolutely love to have you, where you would build your own clientele and pipeline. Yes, there's a huge financial risk, but you could make it work around your family. Or do you use maternity to go and do some voluntary work with a charity that's so close to your heart that you feel compelled to do it, and then in time use the financial and the charity skills to go and do something for a charity? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was definitely looking into, because I have up to a year of maternity leave.
Yeah.
To really do some volunteer work for like social enterprise, for example, and then get my foot in there. So at the moment, I'm actually trying to get internal clearance for that because they're quite strict on doing work outside of work. But so if I get that opportunity, I really like to get to know the social enterprise world better and really get something on my CV. But at the moment, I feel like I've been doing a lot of like theoretical work. I've been in contact with so many associations like B Corp communities throughout the years, but I have nothing practical done so far. So this would be the first time where I can actually evidence something if I were to do that.
That would really help. And I know if you can get on a board, so many of them would really appreciate some financial help right now. And, you know, again, dare I say it, lots of charities are going to be in trouble at the moment, and if they can bring in and need to be a little bit more commercial, and some charities are better than others at that. Some of them have such rigid and strict rules that they don't actually know how to sell themselves to get the money in from the community to the people that they serve. So definitely, I don't know if you use goodmoves.org as a website. Good Moves is your website that's got all the trust positions on it.
Oh, okay, I'm not aware of that.
And they're always looking for people to go. It's normally unpaid, but it's an amazing experience, and I think that could be your bridge, if you like.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's
I have to find the right fit as well. Yeah,
it has to be the right charity, you know, one that you want to help. But there are so many of them on there, often advertising for roles, and voluntary sector is definitely something we can talk about. Yeah.
I just wonder whether it might be useful to maybe split the group into two halves, Laurie, and we take sort of half up, and we can go into maybe breakout rooms for 10 or 15 minutes. And what I'm thinking is, it sounds like that for everybody, they have an idea of what they want to do, but there might be a barrier that's in the way. And I wonder, Laurie, whether you and I can go into two different rooms, and we'll divide everyone up. And then we could talk about what your barriers are. So if maybe while I'm getting everybody in the breakout rooms, if you want to think about what is your biggest barrier to what you want to do? I mean, is there something that's really stopping you from being, getting that job, doing what you want to do? So I'm just going to break us up into rooms. Let's see. So I will put, Laurie, I'll put you in the room, and then I'll just give you half, and then the other half will just stay with me here. So
cool.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so, and everybody should be, yeah. Hello, have we got everybody here?
Hello.
Hello.
Good. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure they're okay. So what I wanted to check with everybody is there a barrier that's something that's resulting in you not doing what you want to do. And maybe you've had a thought about that. Debs, can I talk to you first? Because you didn't get an opportunity to talk before, but you've been involved with the SRGs, and you had some barriers within your life to do what you want to do, and you're now actually doing your course in community development. And I wonder whether you might be able to, well, these guys have an opportunity to think about their barriers. Maybe if you could talk about what your barriers were to get to your course that you're on.
Yeah, well, for me, barriers have been like my health, and I'm a single parent, so raising kids, but also I was diagnosed with epilepsy last year as well, so started taking seizures, and lost my driver's license, and I've got fibromyalgia, so I've had to kind of adapt my craft in certain things and doing how I done my kind of craft. So I've had to kind of put things on hold.
Yeah. Has anyone else had any thanks, Debs, for that? Because I mean that especially the epilepsy stuff has made a real difference, because it stopped you from driving, took away some of your freedom and things. So I don't know whether anybody else has found that health issues have been a big barrier for doing something that you'd love to do. Is there anybody else who's been affected by that or anything?
Yeah, I had health issues. I could no longer hold my photographic equipment because it was too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And people were saying, well, you should be looking at maybe a lesser end of sort of equipment and stuff to use, because like not consumer, I don't know the right word for it, but it wasn't high spec enough for me to make once you could see the difference in quality, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that is that something that you, because you mentioned that you've taken some other courses, or you're doing something else now?
Yeah, I've just had the last 2 years at college studying fashion and textiles, and hoping to sort of maybe move into sort of like home accessories or something, based on my love of photography and travel, and I can use that as inspiration to create designs. But I'm not really sure what to do next.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to talk about what the next steps are in a little bit, and maybe try to give you some guidance. So Sarah and Kara, and was there anything, Kara, for example, what do you think is a barrier to what you're doing at the minute and what you might do in future?
I think one of the main, sorry,
No, you're good.
thought I was still on mute there for a minute. I think one of the main barriers for me is that I'm a good all-rounder. I'm very much a generalist rather than a specialist, and I've got lots of transferable skills, so it's almost too broad. So because I could do almost anything really, I feel like I'm very much kind of lacking in direction, which makes it quite hard to pinpoint. I mean, literally, while you're using these kind of job sites like Indeed, what do you search for? There's so much out there.
Absolutely. I mean, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, can't it? I mean, you're thinking, oh, that looks great, that looks great. You feel a bit like you're not really sure what you want to do next.
Yeah.
So it's maybe that sort of lack of direction as well, that it may be trying to figure out what to do next. Okay, that's great. Sarah, what about you? What do you think might be your barrier?
I think for what the job I do right now, I'm a fashion designer, but it took me quite a long time to train up, and then I was lucky to get quite quickly into a job and then onto my second job now, and it kind of feels like this is what I've been building up to, but now it's sort of got to a point where it doesn't quite, because it's the customers I work with are so commercial, it's very polluting and bad for the environment, and it's just not really sitting right with me anymore. So I want to go into something else, but then it feels like I'm throwing away all the work that I've already done. So it's getting a bit, I don't know, scary.
And it is. I mean, fear is a big barrier, isn't it? I mean, definitely. And how has any of the barriers that we've talked about? Is there anything there that you can see?
Yeah, I kind of feel what Kara and Sarah are saying. Like for me, the opposite is actually true from Kara, because I'm way too niche, and that's the problem, because I like to go to something different. But if you can't just, I can't do it with my CV, because all my CV screams out is this particular thing I'm really good at for the last 6-7 years, right? So it's very hard to transition to something new with a CV that just puts you in this certain pigeonhole. So that's have been the biggest hurdle for me, is really like finding the opportunity, someone giving me the opportunity, would it be through volunteering or some sort, to give me actually the chance of doing something completely different to what I've been doing before. Because I know I can learn things from the ground up, and I've done that at work. And I'm keen to learn and keen to pick up things, but I think maybe it's just the time where people just don't want to do that anymore, like investing in people's time if they have the choice of experienced people around them.
I certainly think businesses are very worried about risk and about fear, about, if they don't take someone on who has experience, is that a risk for them? And so I think it's very difficult to find organizations and companies who are going to be willing to support it.
Yeah.
I guess really one of the things that Debs maybe can say about, if you're wanting to, say, for example, set up in your own business, is that you are in control of those things. You can do you can set up yourself, you can do your own things. And so you have a little bit more control. And I think that is one of the big things that I've certainly, the themes that I've seen in the people that I've spoken to is having that lack of control over their career, over a family, and what's happening, during COVID. And so I think it's trying to understand how you build that up again and how you get that. Debs, what do you think as far as the stuff that you're doing now, because you're on your course now? Would you have ever thought maybe 2 years ago that would be something that you would do?
I never ever thought I would be going to university, no. Never in a month or Sundays. When I joined like Evolution, I had just moved back to my hometown. I didn't know anybody. I'd saw it on Facebook, and I do handmade cards and a hand letter, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I joined it, and now I've got like the best of friends, and my business, and albeit it's quite small at the moment, but and I upcycle furniture, and I do workshops, and I got the confidence to do a course in a local community centre, and that's what spurred me on to go forward with the community development. But no, I never thought I'd have the confidence or the courage to even think about doing university. And now I'm reading books. It's not a picture and sight.
And I guess it is about that being brave, isn't it? This is what we talk about, is trying to be brave and taking that step. And I'm sure you've all heard it, but isn't failure the way that we find out how we learn and how we grow? And it's about being able to take that risk and maybe take it. And if you can do it financially, if you're in a place where you can financially take that risk, why wouldn't you do it? And so I guess that's what really we want to do, is we want to try to encourage people to, and women particularly, to think about, take this opportunity in the environment that we're in at the moment, to think about what can I do next, and what is there out there that maybe I wouldn't have done normally. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to round up the breakout rooms, because what I want to do is get you back to space, and I want you and have a little bit of conversation together with everyone else. So what I'm going to do is try to get us back together. So I'm going to close all these rooms, and hopefully we'll be back in together in a few minutes. Okay, we've got 60 seconds. So we'll see you back in the main room in a minute here. If there's anything else that if you need to run out and grab a drink or something, we'll be back in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to check with the other room to make sure that they're okay.
Hey, we're back.
Hooray! Is that everybody back now?
We are all.
Oh, hurrah! Okay, let me just exit. Right. I'm just going to get everybody back. Welcome. So how did everyone get on? Laurie, maybe you want to give us a little roundup of how the discussion about what barriers did you find within your group?
Yeah, so we were talking about not being sure where to kind of, not knowing what jobs were out there, Pam, not knowing kind of where to start. Like you hear the saying, you can't be what you can't see. If everybody around you does X amount of jobs, how do you know what other jobs there are? So there was a bit of discussion around not really knowing kind of what's out there, and also sort of falling into jobs and staying there. Like Ha was saying, she's been in this job, she stayed there, you know. But I think one of the things that I definitely see is people think that they're going to have this blinding flash of light that tells them, ta-da, here's the job you need to do. And actually, I think that is exceptionally rare. I think you get a few doctors, nurses, probably ministers and religious people have it, but most of people just fall into a job and kind of think, this isn't too bad, I don't hate it, the money's okay, and kind of stick there. So that this kind of vision about what else is out there is just a real case of nosiness and asking tons of questions and looking at tons of different people and asking them what they do and what does that involve, and going online and just plugging in loads of words and seeing what job descriptions come back. You know, you can be a sandwich artist nowadays, so you can, you know, which is working in Subway. There's all different job titles. What are they all about? And we also talked about, for the ladies who want to start their own businesses, you know, is it worth having a physical premises right now? Or we were talking about absolutely setting up online as such a way forward right now, and this whole shop local, you know, reducing your carbon footprint, ethical products is a huge market. And if you can get over your fear and hatred of the technology of actually setting it up, the world is your oyster.
Exactly, and I think that's a similar sort of things that we were saying in our breakout room. Was there was certainly maybe a fear that was there about, you know, and trying to think about being brave in what you're doing. There was a worry about a lack of direction and whether they could find it, which is what it sounds like you were talking about. But also there was a fear of being too niche, so being too specific, and how do you become more generalized in what you're doing? And I think another barrier, which a lot of people have, is issues of health, or, you know, and it's maybe not a great barrier, but it's the family, you know, family taking care of kids and what's happening with that. So that can be another barrier as well. Yeah. So I hope that was interesting, or helpful for people to see that you're not the only one out there who's got those barriers, and maybe we can talk a little bit about those and how to overcome those barriers if we've got time. But what I really wanted to do is include Eileen in this part of the conversation now. And Eileen, if you could just tell us, how did you come to get involved with an SRG? What was happening with your own business, and what's happening with your new business? So if you could just tell us a little bit about that, that would be great.
No problem, Pamela. So I'll probably quickly go back right to the beginning, which will be beneficial for you just to understand where I was coming from. And I've been kind of in similar positions like everyone else before. So I was originally, I was born in Germany and decided I would like to, you know, at the time when I was 18, I wanted to go abroad. So I went to Ireland, I worked there, but didn't like it. And then eventually I came here to Scotland. I worked for IBM, just a typical call center position, nothing fancy, which brought me basically over here. And then I kind of kept changing jobs. I wanted to go in finance. I worked in finance. Then I worked still in finance, but for the Red Cross, I was doing fundraising as well. And then eventually I kind of got a bit fed up with kind of the office work, because I've been doing that for over 10 years. And I felt like if I eventually want a family, you know, something to work kind of around that. So that's when I decided to go back to college and do my beauty side. And then I was thinking, right, do I want to be employed or do I want to be self-employed? So I thought going forward for myself, I was the best to be self-employed. And then I was looking at whether I'm opening my own salon, but that can be, as Laurie said earlier on, that is very costly. Like the rent, you know, and all the business expensive. So it's not worthwhile to go down that route in the beginning. So I work from the house myself, but I'll also go out to people, mobile, but I also work in a salon. So it gives me, like, you know, a variety. And because when I first started out in the nail business, I was at home. I mean, basically from being full-time employed to going to college and then being at home and everyone else is at work, that was kind of a big change. And I felt like I had to do something to kind of entertain myself in between. So that's when I kind of basically found a sewing class that was held by Revolution at the time. That was in January. It was over a year ago. And that's how I got to know a lot of people within Revolution. We met on a Monday for a couple of hours. We've done different projects, and then just one of the girls I was in the sewing group with, she had this great idea, and it basically involved weighted blankets that are more flexible than what's currently on the market. And the idea and our group started pretty much up from there. So we are now at the point where we have an online shop where people can buy online now with the whole COVID thing going on. And it's been kind of great for us so far, but it's a lot of effort and it's a lot, you know, involved. So I don't know if anyone's got any question at that point.
Thanks. Eileen, what I'm doing is I've just put your website name on the
Yep. Brilliant.
So it was really, I mean,
there's an extra R in it, Pamela.
Oh, is it not? Is that right?
Waited to try it again.
Oh, waiter. Okay, yeah. Sorry, that's not right. Okay, it's my terrible typing. You're all trying to think at the same time. Yeah, anybody have any questions? I mean, one of the things that's really interesting is that this business went from absolutely nothing in January to now you're selling products. So it's and you know, you're out and doing shows and things. So I don't know whether anybody's got any questions about the support that you've received or anything, whether anybody wants to ask anything. No? Okay, well, that's fine. You do. But thank you for showing this story. So I'm still trying to type it.
Can I just say it might be useful? Taruko is looking to get potentially her products online, maybe to have a chat with the girls in Eileen's group about how they did the e-commerce stuff, because it's the tech that's standing between her and her lovely business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that
my beautiful sari, which
yes.
I'm finding it so difficult to cut up. It's just one, because if I cut up, I need to sew my cushion covers and I need to sell them.
Yes.
without having a market and without having an idea, I just don't want to cut it up. So this is my thing, and I'm not technical, you know that, Pam. I struggle all the time with technicalities. So if I could get this done, and I'm looking for a sewing class, because Angela, who was from Inverclyde, stopped the sewing classes this year due to family commitments. So I'm just looking for a sewing class to do it absolutely beautiful so that I can sell it. So I'm good. I can do sewing, my household things, but not for an upmarket thing.
Well, good news is I think Angela's actually going to start doing her sewing classes again now. So I'll let you know about that. But this is the sort of thing. Yeah, this is the sort of thing is that, you know, we're trying to do, and we can encourage you, you know, at Weevolution to try to do. Eileen, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know we could talk about it for ages and ages.
But you can't, there's so many points.
I know. We've only got 5 minutes left in the allotted time, and I don't want to overrun. But what I wondered, if you don't mind, is I just wanted to show you a very quick video because it just kind of it involves a lot of people that we have working in different groups. And let me just show you this. And then I wanted to just do a quick poll with you to see how you're feeling now and where we're going to go. Right, let's see. And now let me just share this screen for you, if this works. Here we go. And there we go. Okay. I'm just going to show you this quick video that we made. Can everybody see that now? Yeah, okay. Let me know if you can't hear it, okay? It's only a minute long, so.
SRG stands for Self-Reliant Group. It's a group of like-minded people who do similar things, who can pool their resources, make things or provide a service, give back to their community, and it can be a way of making a small income. It doesn't have to be a group project, it can be individual.
Anything that's needed for the group is helped by the group.
It's a way of helping people build their confidence, be the best they can be. Some people join the movement just for social aspects, and then it evolves and grows and they find their creative talents, and some people, like myself, go on to want to have their own businesses. So an SRG can be like a sort of stepping stone.
You always have this like a bigger brother or sister looking out for you, making sure all your visions and goals are achieved, and that is Weevolution.
Oh, there we go. So that just showed you a little bit about what Weevolution is, and what would be really great is to kind of round up, because we're almost out of time. Oh, it's still playing. Sorry. Let me just stop. Let me just stop that. Apologies about this. I'm just going to stop that. Oh, stop share. There we go. Sorry about that. Technology is great when it works. So what I thought we could do is maybe go along, and just what would be great is to find out if you've got one thing that you can take away from what you've learned today, and one action. So if you could say one thing that you've learned and one action that you want to do, and then what we can do is I've got a wee little poll at the end that we could do, and if anybody wants to speak to us separately about Weevolution, we can do that too. So Felicity, have you got a wee action that you're thinking about doing? What have you learned, and what's an action that you can take forward?
Basically, probably confidence, believe in yourself. And the action to take forward would be to look at, like Laurie was saying, use the time to sort of create a social media presence, or update your LinkedIn profile, which I don't think I've updated for about 6 years.
Excellent. So have you got someone that can help you with that?
No, but I've been doing the Instagram with Weevolution, the 3-part series. So brilliant. Yeah, I've been finding that useful. So it's obviously sort of getting that put more in.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, great. And you're doing that with Rosie?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, I'm excited to hear how that goes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Ha, what about you? What's one thing that you've learned, and one thing that you want to maybe set your goal, you want to set yourself?
I think definitely is sharing the fears among the group, and noticing that I knew what to do, but I just had this barrier in myself, and just being like, just go for it. You know, just maybe I just spent too much time thinking about it, and the more you think about it, the bigger they become. So it's just ignoring it and just go for it. Yeah.
Brilliant. And is that your goal as well, is to try to
Yeah, just to really take action, actually make something tangible this time, not just like just to have the intention.
Brilliant, excellent. And if you want to talk to us, and if you want to come and speak to either Laurie, which Laurie's information is there, or if you want to speak to us, please get in contact.
Thank you very much.
Sarah, what about you? What's something that you learned, and what do you think you might have as a goal?
I think it was quite reassuring to hear Laurie talking about you don't have to just go for any job, because it's starting to feel a bit like if I don't have a job, then there's no point. I have to just take a job. So I think that was really reassuring to hear. And then, yeah, just to see that I'm not in this position by myself. Like there's lots of other people feeling similar things. So yeah, just push forward and go for what I want to do.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, and again, the offer's there. If you need any help with that, we're here to help you out. Thanks. Sarah, what about you?
I think pretty much the same as Sarah. Just the kind of reassurance that it's not just me, and yeah, just that I don't have to jump into something. I have got a bit of time to really think about what it is that I want to do, and where I go. Yes, I think I'll just kind of keep working on trying to kind of narrow down what I actually want from a job, what I'm looking for, and obviously how that ties in with my skills and experience. So yeah, it's really helpful.
Excellent. Debs and Eileen, I'm going to skip over you. I'm going to leave you to the end. Ali, what have you learned today, and what do you think you might have as a task?
What I learned is that it's really worth connecting with other people rather than trying to do things on your own. Because at the moment, I was just, I had these ideas, but I hadn't actually even shared it with other people. It was just things in my mind. So I think it's really, really good to connect to other people that can help you along. And my task would be to try and find a group that either is interested or has some knowledge on the funeral industry to see how I can get there, and how, because my idea is in the future try and perhaps create a funeral home that can offer cheaper funeral packages, but also more ethical ones in terms of the materials used for example, for the coffins and things like that. But it's just something very up in the air at the moment.
Laurie?
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
Laurie might be able to help you out with this one, because she's doing some work with an organization, and they have had someone who has done a similar thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say he's tackled funeral poverty in Stirling region, and by cutting out the middleman, if you like, and teaching the gravediggers how to do the funerals themselves with the greatest of care and respect for people. So yeah, definitely, Ali, if you want to connect with me, I will be happy to put you in touch with someone who can speak to you about funerals.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I mean, it's a really great story. So do get in touch with Laurie to be able to tell you. I mean, it was something. It was just an idea that grew and developed. Oh, I've got a little bit of goosebumps. I'm excited.
I was typing in the chat there, and it was like, should I say this? But no, I know. Oh, this is a good one.
Okay. And Anna, what about you? What have you learned today, and what's your goal?
So basically, I learned that there are people that are willing to help me. So that's very important for me. And my goal is take a deep breath and just do it. Just try. And if I need help, I can ask. So yeah, I know who to ask now. So this is very important for me. It don't seem, but it's very important when you come from another country and you try to find out,
Yeah. And I mean, it may be that you want to talk to Eileen, because Eileen was in the same situation as you, and so she might be able to offer you some advice about that too. So and Taruko, our lovely Taruko, what have you learned today from us?
Oh, Laurie has given me hope telling me about her friend. So there is always hope. And then you gave me hope saying that Angela is going to start the sewing class. So I'm extremely excited about that. So one thing is getting myself with the technical matters. That is a great barrier for me. So Rosie, maybe she's getting a bit impatient with me getting the Instagram and all those things sorted, but I think she'll have some patience with me in the future. that I'm really positive I can do it.
Brilliant. You can do it. I know you can. And Debs and Eileen, thanks for your contributions today. I hope you learned some things. I wanted to kind of close the session I've got a wee poll, which I'm just going to show with you here. And if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute or two, if there's only 6 questions, if you wouldn't mind just filling that out, I'll let you do that now. And then I'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your Friday. So.
Thank you, Pam.
Is everybody able to access it? Okay, yeah, great. Good, I can see it now. So there, if you look on your chat, if everybody can see the chat, the details for myself and for myself and for Laurie are on there. So you've got your addresses there. Plus you've also got Beloved's website if you want to have a look at that. And if there's anybody else who wants to talk to us separately, you can just contact us there. Or if you want to get in touch with somebody who's here online, we can make that happen as well. So I really wanted to thank everybody for coming along. It's been a really good session. Laurie, thanks for your contribution. It's a real pleasure. Laurie and I haven't really been able to work together, so this is our first opportunity to work together. So that's been really really good too. If there's anything else that you can think of, have a check on the website, the Weevolution website as well. And I think we've got everybody. Has everybody voted? Got 8 out of 10 people voting. So I'm going to end the polling if that's okay.
Pam?
Yes.
Yes, I was just going to say before we get off, see for Anna and Taruko or for anyone else who's got maybe any questions, whether it's for technical or SRG or they're just wanting some help, they're more than welcome. You know, you can pass on my details.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, that's great. I'll put that in the chat. Eileen, can you put your contact address in your email address in the chat, because I know it's a long one, isn't it? So just to give you a bit of a roundup, so if we saw everybody through the Facebook pages or a Weevolution page, there's a really good spread there or other. And what attracted to your event. So these are really, really interesting. Thank you so much, everybody, for contributing. Oh, and it met everybody's expectations, which is always good. And you would recommend the session to everybody. So really great. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I hope as we get out of this incredible situation that we're in, that you're all successful and able to do chase your dreams. Take care. Have a great weekend. And we'll speak to everybody.
Thank you for putting this meeting together.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks.
Lovely to meet you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello.
What do you think?
I'm just really well.
Hold on, I'm going to just stop recording. No, wait a minute. Stop. Yes, can this? Yes.